Hello, everyone. It's Mike from Downtown Comics, and I'm here as always with James. James, how are we doing? James
Good,
Rossman.
Yeah.
Yep, and it is the week of March 19th, 2025, and we're here to talk about this week's comics. We've got a few each, and then we have one that we both read and we'll discuss. So before we begin, downtowncomics.com is the place to go to check out all the new comics that have been released, and liking, sharing, and subscribing is not only appreciated, but, mandatory. You just do it. Click the button. It's very simple. So, yeah. All right, James.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to start with you today. And, we've got a new Absolute out, right?
Yeah. It's the first book in the next wave of the Absolute books. It's the Absolute Flash #1.
Okay.
This is written by Jeff Lemire. And honestly, I feel like, I don't know if it's been like the past, month, 2 months or something like that. But I feel like Jeff Lemire's been popping up everywhere.
Well, he's had a lot of independent stuff.
Yeah,
I think the last time he wrote DC, he wrote a Batman and Robin miniseries that I remember that was very good. It was like a 3-issue prestige series.
Okay.
It was the last time I think I saw his name on a DC project, but that's been a couple of years. So I think he's been focusing on his independent stuff lately. So I think this is his return to DC, which is cool. I mean, he has a really good fan base, so hopefully those people will glom onto this as well. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like he's kind of been. This is an interesting issue because I feel like this presents. It's not as straightforward as the other three: Absolute Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Now this is centered around a teenage Wally West.
Okay.
He's moved from essentially like an army brat. He's moved from base to base with his dad, and the base that they're currently on in this issue. One night he's past curfew, so he kind of tries to sneak back on base, and the guards are like, "Hey, your dad wouldn't be very fond, if if he caught you." And so there was a scientist that his dad works with that basically came to his rescue essentially. So he was walking Wally back to where he stays, and he was like, "Hey, well, you know what? Would you be interested to see what you and your dad, what your dad and I are doing? So it's super top secret stuff." So he's like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So, but this whole time it's kind of really tough for Wally West because he has no friends whatsoever, so he doesn't really have anyone to connect to. His mom passed away in this one, so him and his dad don't really communicate at all, and he's always putting his job first and whatnot.
Okay.
But eventually, when they're down in the lab, Wally West and the scientist, which I cannot remember his name, but anyways, his dad comes down. And he's like, "How dare you bring my son down here?" And he's yelling both at his partner and his son.
Mm-hmm.
So Wally storms off. But this issue goes back and forth between everything that I just mentioned, and 2 days after, when something has happened to Wally that that he doesn't quite know, what exactly happened to him, and he's being chased by the Absolute Universe's version of some of the Rogues.
Okay.
So we don't get a whole lot of that, but it's interesting because even the lightning from this Flash, it's not it's not the lightning that you would think of. It's these almost kind of geometric shapes, kind of
Okay.
So it's really really weird.
Okay. So the story's popping between the current time, I guess, and then 2 days ago was the past with the base. So they haven't filled in the gap yet. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and but yeah, like I said, it presents a lot more questions. Basically it was okay, what's really going on here? And hopefully, I'm sure in a couple issues that we'll get those questions, but there was a note that I had. It's, the classic Flash, his speed and everything and his whole character is built on, the family, having all the other speedsters. But in this case, that's not the situation here.
Right.
So, but there is an epilogue to this story that kind of hints at maybe some future things that might be going on, some future characters. Make sure you don't skip that.
Okay.
But yeah, this is this issue is super ground level for this Flash, so it's kind of nothing crazy. Albeit it's definitely a little bit different than obviously the classic Flash, but so have all the other absolutes.
Sure. So you'd say that for someone who's never read the Flash before, they can get into this pretty easy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. So
okay.
So yeah, that was like I said, it's not as straightforward. So it's kind of more. There's a little bit more theory crafting to this to the Absolute Flash. I feel like than the others, where you could be like, oh yeah, this is going to happen in the next issue for sure. So yeah, not exactly like that with this, but yeah, overall it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, again, from a origin standpoint, you've had multiple Flashes over history. They've got multiple subtle origin changes over history. So, kind of like Wonder Woman, there's no set.
Right.
This is all Batman and Superman are pretty much always kind of set in stone, so you can manipulate those pieces. But these other characters, you can kind of do whatever you want because there's no firm like this is definitely the origin of that character. So yeah, especially these new ones coming out. So Flash, then Green Lantern, and then Martian Manhunter. It'll be interesting to see where they go. I mean, I think, what will be their origins and how many chances will they take. So it's interesting they're going with Wally West, not Barry Allen. It's interesting that they're obviously making him younger.
Yeah,
than he even was. Yeah, because Wally West was probably in his 20s when he got his own series in like 87 or whatever. So yeah, probably even a younger Flash than we're used to. So more like he's older than like Impulse was, right?
Yeah,
so he's definitely
like
a 16-year-old.
Yeah, more high school age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Awesome. All right. I'm going to start with Deadpool Wolverine. We're on issue 3. I think a few weeks ago, maybe at the beginning, I reviewed issue 1, and I said that there was a big character reveal at the end. I didn't want to spoil it. I'm going to spoil it now because if you haven't read it, well, you can go back and read it. But Strife is back in the Marvel Universe. So we haven't seen that ex-villain in 20-odd years. I don't know the last time he was there, but he was the huge villain from back in the 90s in the Liefeld days. He's the clone of Cable. It was a big deal back then,
Yeah.
So who he is now, I don't know. I assume he's still the same Strife, but in this book, we're not sure what his motivations are because we find out in this issue that maybe he's not just a bad guy. It's more of I need your help because of something going on in the future that's really bad, and I want to stop it for my own nefarious reasons. So in the first issue, Deadpool went crazy and attacked Wolverine, tried to kill him. We find out now that something's been implanted in Deadpool. So that when something triggers it and he basically becomes like a Terminator type and just starts killing things. So there's some great knockdown, drag-out fights. If you ever wanted to see Wolverine with claws versus Deadpool with deer antlers, you get that fight. There's all the blood and guts you could expect or want in a book like this. So it's really fun seeing those two punch each other out and do their thing. And by the end you get zombies. So I don't know what's going on. The book's a little cray-cray, but it's fun. And if you like these two characters and you like to see them fight each other, that's what they do pretty much for 22 pages. So we'll see where it goes, but there's some fun stuff going on. Yeah, and I won't even ruin it. There's another undead creature in there that'll be like, okay, wow, why not?
Nice.
So yeah. So no, a good fun book, a good fun read. You don't have to think too much about it. You just read it and enjoy it. So.
And this is his last with Marvel, right?
Well, no, this isn't. No, Liefeld's not.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
sorry.
No,
I was just
yeah.
describing that
Oh,
Strife
gotcha.
was
That's
created by
right.
Liefeld back in the 90s, so they brought him back. Like I said, I couldn't tell you for sure if he's been a character in the X books.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he showed up in an annual or something, but for the most part, he was a 90s guy that once Liefeld left, they kind of like put him aside.
Okay.
So yeah, just having him back in the Marvel Universe is interesting, so.
Yes, because which one is Liefeld writing right now?
Well, he wrote, like, I don't know, it was Deadpool something. I forget, but he's already done.
Yeah, oh, he's already done. Okay,
yeah,
so
that was over. Deadpool team up, I think.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it's Deadpool team up. So I'm pretty sure that's done. If it's not, there may be one issue left. But yeah, I mean, if you're keeping track of the social media, I guess Liefeld's done with Deadpool forever. So there you go.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Cool.
All right. Well, up next for me is the question all along the Watchtower number 5. Like I mentioned to you earlier, it's kind of bittersweet because this is the next to last issue of this miniseries. Pretty much everything in this issue, though, everything I mentioned in when I talked about issue number 4, where everything's hit the fan. Like in this issue, we have the questions up against Animal Man, Batwoman, both Blue Beetles, who are all basically under Cyborg Superman's control.
Mm-hmm.
So, and all the other heroes that are on the Watchtower are also under his, control, but they're just not the ones that are attacking her at the moment.
Okay.
But so the question is basically kind of on her own and is severely, obviously outmatched. But she's still very, very resourceful. So she eventually gets some help in this issue and kind of turns the tables a little bit. It's kind of, I don't want to give away too much, but so basically, she's trying to prevent the Watchtower from being destroyed while at the same time trying to, fend off, Cyborg Superman. But the story gets better and better with each issue, and that's mainly why the reason I'm like so sad that next issue we're ending. But towards the end of this issue, we have Cyborg Superman. He's like out in space, and he's basically saying like, if I'm not gonna win, then I'm just basically gonna kill everybody.
Okay.
So he may or may not start to tear the Watchtower apart from the outside in.
Okay.
So
and he got on it, if I recall, he somehow rigged the Phantom Zone to be a doorway for him or something.
Yeah, because in this issue also we see I think it's the Blue Beetle, Jamie, what's his name?
Reyes.
Reyes. He gives her, Renee Montoya this chip, and she basically, she's going to find where the other half of it is on the Watchtower, and she finds it's attached to this dog, and then she finds out, she's like, oh, wait a second, like this is meant for, reversing that basically. So she like puts it in her rifle or her handgun or whatever it was. And that's what she's gonna, eventually use on Cyborg Superman. And the it's interesting too because the Eradicator is also in this, obviously, and he's kind of like basically telling the heroes he's not really fighting them anymore because he's seeing like what Cyborg Superman, how much he really doesn't care,
right?
Like who dies or who lives, and so I don't want to say he kind of turns against him, but kind of. So it's a fun issue. But like I said, it's a big action packed. She fights Batwoman, a couple other people, and basically trying to get them to snap out of it because otherwise it's like, she would not stand a chance.
Sure.
So
and the shotgun she has, does that just like teleport them to a jail or something? Like is it's not a normal shotgun?
No, it's not. Yeah,
it's like some sort of energy gun or something like that. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that's her biggest weapon, to be honest. And that's when she finds out about like the whole like Jamie giving her that chip and stuff. So yeah, I'm sure issue 6 will probably be pretty action packed as well. So and then kind of winding down, and that'll be it for this.
But like I said, I think if it did well in the marketplace, they'll do another series.
For sure. I could see.
You don't want an ongoing to kind of pewter out, and some of these characters just can't hold up. Like 12, 15, 20 issues in, people start to not care anymore. But if you do it in chunks and have a good story, then they'll be on board for it. And then when they come around to the next one, they'll jump on. They'll jump back. So
I guess just like any good TV show, they
exactly
when they know to end. They need to end it.
Well, on TV though, sometimes they don't.
That's true.
So, all right, cool. All right, so my second one is G.I. Joe number 5. This is the new G.I. Joe universe. Excuse me, not the real American hero. So this is the Kirkman universe tied with what they call the Energon universe. So tied in with the Transformers and Void Rivals. So in issue number 5, we've been doing an ongoing story where Cobra Commander and Destro have infiltrated this building to steal some stuff and do some other things. Destro's doing one thing, Cobra Commander's doing another one. The Joes only have like 5 people right now. It's not a very big team because it's like Duke, Baroness, and I forget. Darn it, what was one? Clutch. Clutch is definitely one of them. And who's the rest? Who's the scout? Darn it. I'm not good with my G.I. Joe names. But anyway, so it's a very small team, but they infiltrated, and basically in the last issue, Duke got captured.
Okay.
Well, Duke and the whole team got captured. I'm sorry. So Destro and Mercer, who is his main henchman, are basically torturing Duke for information. So they're just beating the crap out of him and stuff. And Duke seems to be a guy who can just take a punch. So, that's his main superpower, is the fact that he can get the crap beat out of him and still function. So, so there's a little turn, there's a fight, there's a lot of fighting. It's different than Real American Hero. It has a reality to it. Characters can die. There's already been one death in the first 5 issues of a major G.I. Joe character. Yeah. So, they've written it so that you can't think that just because they're a name character that they won't, get killed. So that's good for reading a book like this. It keeps the tension level high when they get into these fights. I will say that Cobra Commander's plan involves a bomb. He's trying to do some stuff with that. It's ramping up to a big, and this will be the end of the first act, I guess. This next issue. So this is all about fighting and G.I. Joe kind of getting its second win, because they were kind of beaten there in issue 3 and 4, and now they're kind of turning the tide, and something's happening. And it does end in a cliffhanger. We'll have the first meeting between 2 characters that have never met yet. I won't say who yet. So, but yeah, a really good issue. I mean, this book has been excellent in terms of its storytelling. I think is its best thing. So we'll see as they add more G.I. Joe, classic characters, how they'll interact and stuff like that. I mean, they don't technically even have a base yet or anything. So, So I mean, they're from an army base, but they don't have the pit or whatever. Yeah. So, but it was fun. I mean, seeing all the Destro is definitely a good bad guy. Cobra Commander is even a better bad guy. He's not the whiny Cobra Commander from like the cartoon. Yeah, even though you can still hear like the hissing sound in your head when you read his dialogue. But he's not the whiner, and he's not the guy that runs away scared every time something gets bad. So he's a lot more vicious and determined to get done what he wants done. So yeah, yeah, it's fun.
I've loved. Here recently, I've loved a lot of stuff coming out of Image, like with like Transformers, and then there's just been so much, and then now Robert Kirkman bringing out the Battle Beast, stuff like that.
Doing some new Invincible stuff. Yeah, well, Skybound especially has been doing some really great work in this area. So yeah, it's been fun. So,
sweet.
All right. So now the book we both read.
Yeah, One World Under Doom #2, and I swear #1 just came out like last week.
It seems like it did, but it has been a month. Yeah. No, all right. So yeah, we talked about #1, and I think our main thing in #1 was that the heroes kind of fell into the classic trap of jumping in too quickly before things kind of before they figured out what was going on. They kind of just knee-jerked into, bad guy, we go fight bad guy. Yeah. And that didn't work out so well. So you'd think they'd learn, right?
Yeah, and this issue doesn't prove that they haven't.
No. So, in issue #2, again, the heroes seem to be on the defensive and just reacting instead of instead of thinking. And yeah, so today Doom goes where? Where does Doom go to make his big speech today?
Where was that? I'm trying to remember.
It was the United Nations.
Yeah, that's right, because he does the press conference.
Yeah. So he's going to have a big press conference at the United Nations, and he's going to do a new thing. So first he's given the world, what? Public schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then he's also healthcare.
Yeah.
Yep. So the third thing now today, what was the third thing he gave?
That was the... What was that? Man, I'm not doing good on this one.
So he's declared that there are no national borders, because now that Doom rules the earth, there's no national borders, so anyone can go anywhere.
Yeah.
So freedom of movement, I guess, is the thing that he was giving the world today in front of the world leaders. And
yeah, this one is kind of like, I feel like the people are in these last two issues are kind of like, what do you want to compare it to? They're obviously benefiting from all this stuff that they, that Doom's saying that, that he's allowing all this freedom. But I feel like, as we get later down the road, it's going to be one of those things where people are going to be like, uh-oh. We really should not have, taken
right. I mean, and that's the way this kind of thing works. Mm-hmm. Is it seems like a good idea until it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And once you give up that authority, then it's very almost impossible to get it back.
Right.
If you don't like what's going on, you know. So, but Doom's playing the long game, and he's doing a really good job, because obviously now the Avengers have decided that they're going to go, and the FF,
and
the Fantastic Four are going to go and attack Doom.
But they do it at separate times in the issue, don't they? Because I think it was first the Fantastic Four, and then it was the Avengers.
Yeah, that's true. The FF, I guess the FF were the vanguard of this, going right after him at the United Nations, because their plan was to show the world that Doom, if he was attacked, would react in a way that would show his true colors, I guess.
Yeah.
And of course, Doom played him once again. So yeah, I mean, it's just right now Doom has got all the advantages and none of the disadvantages. And I think the other big character in this one, unless I'm mistaken, was Valeria, right?
Yes.
Am I okay? Because I've read, So so Valeria, if you guys haven't been following the FF for long, is the son of Reed and Sue, but Doom is officially like the godfather of Valeria, and Valeria has always had a soft spot for Doom. So in this issue, we get that meeting between her and him, and it's pretty interesting because
it is,
because she lies,
and then he's like really trying to get her, she's like, I don't know about this, and he's like, well, you don't have to, know about it, basically. Just watch what I do, essentially.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was interesting. And, this whole time, Sue thought, she was going to meet, I can't remember the guy's name. But
Bentley 15. He's a member of the Fantastic Foundation. So.
Okay. So then, obviously that wasn't the case. And I think Sue said something, I want to hear all about your meeting with him. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's classic, daughter goes out without their parents knowing kind of thing. It's just done in a superhero way. So, classic teenage girl.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, too, the ending was, or the very last page of this was very interesting, when we see a bunch of characters that might be helping out the heroes because they don't like Doom. So.
Right. Yeah. It ends on a good cliffhanger.
It does.
It's got all the makings of a big, very wide Marvel event. So again, if you're a Marvel reader at all and you've been passing on this book for whatever reason, you need to start reading it, because it affects pretty much all the other books that Marvel's going to be making within the next 6 months. It'll either refer to it or it'll be directly tied to it. And it's been, again, Doom is like the greatest villain ever.
Right.
So
And now he's a
you know,
Sorcerer Supreme.
and
So
now,
it's like,
now he's the Sorcerer
what can't you
Supreme.
do?
So yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's another interesting issue. It's a lot of fun, and you're just trying to figure out when. I think by the end of the second one, I think they realize they've been being played and they have to do this a different way. So hopefully that starts happening and the heroes can kind of turn this around, because right now they're looking kind of foolish.
Well, yeah, that, and two, I mean, obviously something happens within the Fantastic Four that we're like, they.
Yep.
Yeah.
Won't spoil that, but yeah, there's a big Fantastic Four status quo change. So yeah, that's going to be huge. So we'll see where that goes. So.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't stay like that, because otherwise.
Well, I mean,
We'll
you
see.
never know. It's happened. I can't say that's never happened.
Right.
So, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. So,
Sweet.
All right. Well, yeah, no, great issue. Highly recommend the whole series, and let's hopefully they'll keep it up.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
All right.
Anything else we want to say about that one?
Nope, I think that about wraps it up for us.
Okay.
For this issue. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you at the stores, and we'll be back next week for some more great comics. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.